was something there where, hey, let me test fate. How worse can it get? Nothing bad can happen. Daniel, take it away.
Oh, yeah. So I hope if you're like us in the Midwest, I'm sure a number of people watching from the Midwest, it's been raining a lot lately. It's been raining quite a bit. In fact,
Past
it
4
has
days,
been
right?
record-setting rains in much of the Midwest. And, well, not every place is surviving. And I mean that in a very literal way. So in Michigan, a dam has broken completely. It is done. It is no longer a dam. There's now a lake that is moving into a number of towns, and then there's another dam that is literally being the water's going over it, which, if you know anything about dams, is almost as bad as a dam being breached, because when water goes over a dam, it pulls dirt and everything with it. So if it happens for too long, it will also fail just the same. So let's talk about that. And we have a little video that we're going to play in a little bit once I go over the story to give you guys some visuals. The National Weather Service has issued a flash flood emergency for areas near, I'm not going to try and pronounce that name of that river, after Edenville.
It's Tittabawassee or something.
Yeah.
I like that it says tit. I mean. Yeah,
Tittabawassee. I don't know how, I have such a terrible time parsing out these syllables. Anyway, and in Edenville and Sanford dams failed. Parts of Midland, a city some 148 miles from Detroit, parts of the city, anyway, could be under 9 feet of water. So if you have a first floor unit, that's gone. I mean, it's truly gone. Dow Chemicals, which is based in the city, by the way, I'm sure that there's nothing that Dow Chemicals is doing that could possibly get into this drinking water once it's flooded, which it currently is. Because this article was taken.
Totally safe.
Yeah. So, and this article was written, a while ago, and the water just keeps building as we talk. So everything that we have is still a few hours late anyway.
The story is still developing.
It's still developing. It's a good way to put it. So, anyway, so as of Wednesday morning, Sanford Dam remains intact. Oh, yeah, the Edenville Dam collapsed on Tuesday. On Wednesday, which is today, I don't know, maybe it could have broken before we started. That dam is intact, but flood waters have been flowing over it. The governor has declared a state of emergency for the county and the city of Midland, a population of 40,000 people, calling historically high water levels, which is an interesting way to put a flood, I guess. This is unlike anything we've seen in Midland County, Ms. Whitmer said at the news conference. To go through this in the midst of a global pandemic is almost unthinkable. But as Lainey put in our Slack a little bit earlier, the emergencies don't wait their turn. They just happen. It was the second time in 24 hours that residents were told to evacuate. The river was expected to crest at a record of 38 feet on Wednesday local time. Early Wednesday, the NWS said the river had broken its previous record of 33.8 feet. The river floods when it's above 24 feet. It is currently at 34 feet as of when this was written, which was a couple hours ago, so it's probably higher since then. Now, here's an interesting thing, because we're in America, and of course, we always maintain everything. The dam that is broken, the Edenville Dam, in 2018 was rated unsatisfactory in its condition.
What's the worst that can happen, guys? I mean,
they didn't have any time to make it better, though. They didn't have any time. I mean, what's 12 years?
They were busy repairing the Flint water system, I think.
Yeah.
Perfect.
And then the other dam, which is still holding, was rated in fair condition. So I think those rating systems seem to be doing their job. But we do have some video of it. Can we play that?
Today, the Edenville and Sanford dams in Midland County breached. Residents in the area have been instructed to evacuate immediately. Residents in Edenville and Sanford have been ordered to move out by local law enforcement, and if you are in those areas, you must evacuate as soon as possible. In the next 12 to 15 hours, downtown Midland could be under approximately 9 feet of water.
So this is the neglect of America's infrastructure. These people are suffering. They're in the middle of a pandemic. I'm sure many of them haven't been able to pay their insurance for their houses during this period because they didn't have money. And you know how insurance is. If they're like, oh, you missed a payment by a day, we're not covering anything. If you have flood insurance, that sucks for you. You didn't pay your deductible or whatever on time, so we're not covering you. So it's 40,000 people. 40,000. I mean, you can fit like on average, let's say 2 people in a home. I'm making this kind of guessing this. Let's say there's 20,000 homes and businesses in this area. If right now, I mean, in April, what was it? A third of people couldn't pay rent, which also means that probably a third of people, maybe more, could not pay for their flood insurance.
Yeah.
Let's assume half of people have flood insurance in there. You're looking at a majority of these places, and it's not like when you have that much water, it's not going to drain away all that quickly. You're literally letting a lake into a lower area of land. Eventually, it'll drain away, but what's left, if you saw in the video we showed, there's literally trees just falling down. Water is no joke, guys.
It is a powerful force of energy. And look, we've been getting a lot of rainstorms these past 4 days, at least to the best of my count, for how long it's been in Chicago. And, you know, I mean, some parts of the city are okay. Some parts of the city have been flooded. But it's a bigger problem, especially in the Midwest. And I mean, right now, this is kind of a little bit of a slow nothing burger. But I mean, yesterday, because of flooding, power went out in the Sears Tower.
First time ever.
Yeah, first time ever. The Sears Tower looked like a dark, tall building. Yeah, like check it out on Twitter, Kira. Sears Tower was out of power for last night, and it's the first time ever where we saw like a major building. So in case for all our viewers and subscribers, the Sears Tower is the largest building in the city of Chicago. I think it's also
In the Midwest.
In the Midwest too. It used to be the tallest building in the world at one point, but nonetheless, yeah, it was out of power. And so the thing is, this has to deal with the real threat of climate change and the lack of, and also important the fact that we have to bring up is that, look, we have a crumbling infrastructure. So these are two issues we have to address. Our infrastructure is not ready for climate change. And look, climate change is a real reality.
Let's take even a step back. Our infrastructure is not ready. Period.
That's
also
there we
on
go.
top of that, with the rains that were happening, my electrical outlets were leaking water a couple days ago.
That's pretty safe.
I mean,
Well, hey, look, let me test fate. What's
That's
the worst that
not
can happen,
good.
right?
we were very lucky that.
Yeah, Daniel, you live below ground, right?
Oh yeah,
How's
30
it
feet
been
below
for
ground.
you? I
Yeah.
mean, your electric. So has your floor been?
No, actually, it was just a single electrical outlet that we don't use. Although it was leaking directly on the cables that power my computer and the printer and all the stuff that I do to run the show when I'm not running the show. So,
Well, hey, let's
everything
now.
survived.
let's
Yeah.
let's test fate. Hey, just like I said to Daniel just before I left on Christmas Day. Come on, it's going to be a slow news month in January. Nothing's going to happen in January. We almost had World War III in January.
Yeah.
Little
Oh,
did
I
we-
know.
yeah.
Isn't that funny? It doesn't. It seems like eons ago.
Yes,
though,
it does.
that all
Yes,
that
it does.
happened,
It's
doesn't
like
it?
every
A decade
month
ago. And
something
then-
has happened.
Then there was this little thing about some sort of pandemic that's happening. I don't know.
There's
Nothing
the
happened with that.
So there's remember it's in January it's World War III. Then it's oh my God, literally all of Australia is on fire.
Yeah.
Then it's we have a viral outbreak pandemic happening. Then it's we have quarantine. Now it's murder hornet flood month.
So yeah, I blame the murder hornets for sabotaging the dam. But now we do have to move on now for our
Well,
next
I
story.
have one more thing to say about
Okay.
infrastructure
go
and
ahead.
flooding that I forgot to say about that Caruso Cabrera woman. One of her arguments also was that AOC works on the Green New Deal, which is divisive, and her plans are to make stronger seawalls.
That seems reasonable.
But that's how she plans on dealing with climate change.
Look, if walls didn't
Wait,
work in the medieval
wait,
ages,
are you-
if walls don't work
wait,
for,
wait.
for down the border,
Wait,
if what?
wait,
Why?
wait,
Why does everyone want to build
wait.
a wall?
Are you saying this is the person? Is her thing just seawalls? Okay,
Yeah,
then I
that
take
was
what I
she
said
said.
back. I thought it was.
To replace Green New Deal.
I thought. Okay, I misheard you. I thought you were saying that the Green New Deal was adding additional seawall protection.
Yeah,
but
so
no.
I think we have two conversations going here, right? Infrastructure, which is shit, and then all of the severe weather that we're going to be getting as a result of climate change. So that's all. I just wanted to put that out there. Yep.
All right, so there we go. We have that situation, but now we do have to move on to our next story. And I wish Jose was here. So Jose, if you're going to watch this or see this clip, we're going to talk about your good friend, Good old turtle boy, Mitch McConnell.
Oh, yeah.
Like, watch. I'm
Oh,
like,
right.
he is not my friend. That's what Jose would say.
We should just say Jose's friend, Mitch McConnell.
Jose's good friend. No, Jose.
No, I know Jose is watching this right now, and he's like, I want to say things, but I don't have a microphone, which makes me not say things.
Yeah, and what's
So-
really crummy is turtles are really cute.
I know, but see, this guy's giving a bad name
That's what's kept him alive all this time.
to all the turtles out there. So here's the thing, because there's a coalition of people that are royally pissed off at this guy. A coalition of more than 30,000 small business owners across the United States is urging Congress not to grant corporations sweeping immunity from coronavirus-related workplace safety lawsuits, warning that the move could harm Main Street and undo decades of worker and consumer protections. Corporate immunity unnecessary to protect small business owners, as state law already protects reasonable business owners who act responsibly. Advocacy group Main Street Alliance wrote in a PDF to the Democrat and Republican congressional leaders last week. Creating this type of blanket immunity from lawsuits by injured workers or consumers would give bad actors a competitive edge at the cost of people's lives. Arguments for corporate immunity during this pandemic are premised on a false choice that illogically pits public health and safety against the economic and viability of business, the letter continues. In reality, we need to pursue a pragmatic, science-based approach to creating a pandemic-resilient economy that considers both the needs of small business owners and the public need for health and safety. The letter came as big companies continue to ramp up lobbying campaign in support for liability protections, which would shield corporations from legal responsibility for workers who contract COVID-19 on the job. Amazon! Amazon! Sorry. I don't know what came over me. So, again,
Got a little
these
frog
are,
in your throat there.
yeah, so good old last month, Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell, Republican from Kentucky, said liability protections are his top priority for future COVID-19 legislation. The Democrats don't want to give you liability provisions, Trump said. Oh, wait, that was Trump. They don't want you to have it. And it's crazy that they don't, but we'll get it anyways. Larry Kudlow, Trump's top economic advisor, assured the CEOs that the White House is working very hard on COVID-19 liability restrictions as it pushes states to reopen their economies. So again, looking at this big picture, it kind of goes back to something I said before in the show. To diehard Democratic voters, to diehard Republican voters, whether you're vote blue no matter who or vote red, at the end of the day, I'm so sorry. This isn't voter shaming or nothing, but the DNC and RNC, the people in the United States Senate and House, and the presidents, whether they're Democrat or Republican, they don't work for you. They don't care about you. They don't respect you. They only play pretend so they can say things that you like to hear, and then you vote them into power. But nonetheless, their number one constituents, the people that they work for, are lobby groups, corporations, banks, Wall Street executives, the top 1%. These are the real constituents to the political establishment class, the DNC and RNC. Remember, Republican senators, Democratic senators, Republican House representatives, Democratic House representatives, 90% of the time, what are they doing? They're calling up for more corporate donations so they can continue to run for office, so they can make more legislation that benefits the top 1%. We do not have a seat at a table. It is one big club, and you are not part of it. This is something we have to come to face as a real reality. The change we want is not going to come from Washington, D.C. We have to literally step up, call for a national strike. We have to tear this system down. We cannot return back to normal. We have to break this two-party neoliberal system, but it requires all of us to step up. But again, there's a lot of things people have to face, but with this economy the way it's going to go, whether or not we really get a second wave of COVID-19, climate change, and our crumbling infrastructure, we got to step up. When the people lead, the leaders follow, and we have to break this system. We don't owe these people a goddamn thing. They dance and drink because they believe we are weak, and we are not weak. We just got to step up. Kira, Daniel, take it away. Kira,
All right. Well, I have so many thoughts on this. First of all, I was one of the business owners that signed this petition. So, yeah, it is really disgusting, pushing liability restrictions on large corporations, basically saying that if you have workers who contract COVID, you are not liable for them. And that is one of the protections they put in one of these last COVID relief bills to protect these massive corporations from having to do anything for their workers, which is, it's not only like horrible and disgusting, but it's unbelievable. It's evil, right? And this gives huge corporations a huge one up. Why is that? Well, the article says, well, small businesses don't want their brand associated with death and illness and dying. But I'll take it a step further too and say, like, a lot of small businesses actually have relationships with the people that work for them. Right. And so it's like the last thing they want to see is their colleagues and people who are doing great work, bringing in money for their companies, getting really sick and dying as a result of working for those companies. So it's really gross in that space too, just the massive one up that it gives corporations who don't give a shit about their people. And once again, like, the bigger the asshole you are, the more perks you get, the richer you get, because we all know that bailing out consumers would, like, actually bail out some of these corporations. Consumers would spend their money, they would pay their debts. If we actually focused on people getting something like a UBI, then a lot of these companies that are looking like they're not doing so well might actually do okay, because people would have money to spend. And then last note, I'm thinking, Kit, it's vote blue no matter who, vote red until you're dead.
Eesh.
That seems
Yeah. So
well,
those are my
I would say that's pretty clever right there. So, Daniel, what are your comments? You'll have the final note.
Okay, so what can you say? I mean, what can you say besides everything that we've always said? They pay. It's the way that the U.S. works fundamentally has led to this interaction being normal and expected. We talked a little earlier about how Japan is actually going after someone, whether they're doing it for national pride reasons or national defense, economic, whatever. They go after people. They go after management. In America, when management fails and you suffer, they get bailed out. You could almost guarantee that if some part of the industry does something terrible, they're the ones that are getting the next bailout, not you. Because America doesn't work for you anymore. It hasn't for a while.
Yeah.
It's exactly what it always has been. It used to be the Democrats actually cared about the workers, the working people, but right now we are stuck in the system where both sides make money from business and don't care about you. So even though it would make a lot of sense to put money in people's hands to work, it's not what they're going to do, because they don't take money from you. Right. You're just the person that votes them in. You're the technicality they have to overcome.
So I think that's a good note to end it on. And again, just everyone, we have to fight for a better future, and we have to step up. And it's us, the people, who need to step up.